Ciao! This crazy thing that we're all experiencing, COVID. I'm trying to learn a language in it. My human interactions are vastly restricted and I can't really talk to anyone. One of the few interactions I did have recently was with Vincenzo and Jessica, my new friends. And I can't lie, I'm pretty envious because they both speak like 4 or 5 languages. They live in Barcelona, he's Italian, she's American. What are your tips for people who want to learn a new language?
I think the most important thing is to listen, read, and immerse yourself in the language.
I think I like more the shock method. You cannot go back. You have to speak or speak.
I've always wanted to be fluent in other languages. I throw myself in uncomfortable situations again and again, and it's all going to coalesce and come together. You know, I am getting pretty good. I see my improvement, and I contribute that largely to my morning routine.
Good morning, everyone. Oh gosh, that's bright. About to do my lesson learning for the day. Because you know what? You gotta prioritize what you don't want to be pushed off into oblivion. So I do Italian first thing in the morning. Well, after I like drink some water and brush my teeth.
So straight away, I take out my journal and I journal. It's like getting all the things off my mind from the day before. And as of right now, I'm incorporating Italian in my journaling, always with the date. Oggi è martedì, gennaio 2021. So I start writing in Italian and I'm eventually go to English, but that will change. I intend to incorporate more and more Italian into my morning journaling. And then next, I read at least a few pages of a book in Italian.
Have I showed you guys this this awesome couch covering yet? I think it's pretty incredible. No, we've thought of, it's a rental apartment, right? We've thought about investing in some nicer couch furniture coverings here. We just don't know how long we'll be here, but I guess if it's long enough for me to kick butt in Italian, it might be long enough to invest in some couch coverings.
And I look up and note down any vocab I don't know. And then I open my laptop and I go to YouTube, go figure. I kind of go through phases with who I love watching. Right now, I love Lucrezia of Learn Italian with Lucrezia. She has Italian subtitles I can watch while I'm watching her vlogs of like hanging out in Rome.
Oggi hanno gli gnocchi perché è giovedì. E a Roma giovedì si mangiano gli gnocchi.
That's so fun! Like now I know that in Rome people eat gnocchi on Thursdays. Didn't know that giovedì was a gnocchi day, and now I know.
The last part of my morning routine is some kind of exercise. Typically it will be yoga or Pilates, and for that I find an Italian instructor online.
Ciao a tutti e bentornati sul mio canale.
At the moment I'm really digging Yoga with Denise.
Fianco sinistro e ginocchio sinistro sono su una stessa linea verticale. Opzione 1, tutte e due le mani a terra. Opzione 2, braccio sinistro sale e molleggia.
Because this is lockdown and I don't live with any Italians, I try to make the small interactions really count. Because when I go to like the fruit and vegetable stand, for instance, the interaction there is usually pretty minimal.
Ciao, basta così, grazie.
So when I have the chance to have like an actual interaction, I really try and make the most of it. Like just the other day, I made a friend in the park.
Lei come si chiama?
Mi chiamano Domenico. Frena.
Ciccio.
È lunga.
Ok.
Sì. A
Ok,
posto.
grazie.
Più lontano la mano. Ciccio. Ha preso il dito?
No, ma solo un po'. Mio marito Connor.
Grazie.
So let's talk about my learning world, some of the tools I use that I find very helpful. Let me just say, there are a lot of theories on learning a language. One that has really resonated with me is called the monitor model by this guy, Stephen Krashen. His theory is that listening is the most important thing, comprehensible input. So you can't just listen to things you have no idea what they're saying. The understanding of grammar in a language comes naturally. You know, now that I think about it, like Duolingo is a proponent of this, right? Because grammar is never explained, you're just confronted with it. Yeah, anyway, I don't love Duolingo, but I do it. So, okay, here's the breakdown of what I do. I've already mentioned Learn Italian with Lucrezia. I've also enjoyed Alberto from Italiano Automatico and the YouTube channel Easy Italian. Podcasts are great too, and this I'll listen to throughout the day while I'm cooking something or if I go for a walk. I really like Coffee Break Italian, and towards the beginning when I was first learning, I was listening to Iceberg Project a lot. And now I'm just starting to branch into podcasts that are not at all about the Italian language, but are just things that interest me. Another helpful study website is called LingQ.
Oggi Fela ci ha rivelato un particolare importante della storia dell'italiano.
Super free and a fantastic resource. In terms of books to read, I have Moomin, which is a cartoon. This was a great one to start with. I have a bread journal. Connor got this for me. And I have what you saw me reading in my morning routine, A che ora si mangia, which is fascinating. I've already talked about this in another video. And so I mentioned if I don't know a word, I'll look it up and then write it down. I write it down on something called the Anki app. This is a flashcard app, and it's awesome because it uses spaced repetition. It knows your brain, il tuo cervello, and it feeds you words that may have just slipped. It's really smart. It helps. And I do have some grammar books, and sometimes I will break them out because it's nice to, if there's a concept I'm not fully understanding just by this natural method of just consuming things, it is helpful to break it down, understand why grammar works in that way. Streaming services are an incredible resource. What I've been doing is putting them on dubbed in Italian with Italian subtitles. This is so clutch. Funny story though, all my girlfriends back home were like, ooh, have you seen Bridgerton? And I was like, oh, Bridgerton on Netflix. Okay, cool, I'll watch it and it will be Italian language practice. So I watched the first episode. I thought it was really entertaining.
Lo dice lei, lo dicono tutti.
So then on my next Katie newsletter, my monthly newsletter that I put out, I was like, have y'all seen Bridgerton? Yes, this was before I saw all the many sex scenes. There's a lot of sex scenes in that show. A lot of sex scenes. It's also great to watch Italian films. I mean, Italian cinema is a thing. Recently, Connor and I watched a Sofia Loren classic. It's called Scandal in Sorrento, or the Italian title, Pane, Amore, eh? The thing with watching Italian films is that often the characters are speaking in dialect. I am fascinated by dialect in this country. For more on dialect, here's me talking to Sophie Minchili. She was the latest guest on my podcast, the Keep It Quirky podcast.
But another fun thing about Salento is that they actually speak a dialect so different from the one of the area where you're living now, that if they speak to each other in dialect, they can't understand each other at all, not one word.
The last tool that's really helpful for me is that I give myself a time and a space to make mistakes. So I've hired this tutor through the website italki.
Mi raccomando, taglia le parti dove sbaglio. Okay?
Certo, non c'è problema. Perché insegni italiano? Perché vuoi insegnare italiano?
Beh, decisamente il motivo principale è perché adoro l'insegnamento.
So this is one of the most important things when learning a new language. Accepting that you will make mistakes. You will. You can't get around it. Sorry.
L'errore è fondamentale per imparare una lingua. Anzi, devi sbagliare. È quello, devi assolutamente sbagliare. Assolutamente.
Sì, devo sbagliare per imparare.
Esatto.
Vuoi cominciare un canale su YouTube? Sì?
Sì, esatto, sto creando un canale su YouTube che lo chiamerò Learning Italiano.
Sì.
Semplice.
Semplice.
Molto semplice, molto
Sì.
semplice.
Ok. Quando il canale comincia, metto il link nella descrizione qui sotto.
Va benissimo, ti ringrazio tantissimo.
And now, some of my favorite words in Italian. Boh, it means, I don't know, non lo so, right? But, boh. Per esempio, perché il cielo è blu? Boh. Appiccicaticcio. This one has been a favorite word of mine for a long time, before I even started learning Italian, because my best friend in college, Lara, was learning Italian and introduced this into my life. I just like how it sounds. And it's the informal way of saying sticky. Appiccicaticcio. Feminine, appiccicaticcia. Scarpetta. Fare scarpetta. So scarpetta literally means little shoe. But when you fare scarpetta, when you do scarpetta, it means basically to soak up delicious sauce, oils, whatever you were eating with a piece of bread. Per esempio, fai scarpetta quando hai finito di mangiare, ma nel piatto c'è ancora un po' di sugo. Y'all, thanks so much for hanging out with me. I hope that you learned a little something about language, or that you could use some of this for your own language improvement. Always keep it quirky. Huge thank you to all of my Patreon patrons. And I'll see everyone back here next week.